Okay, 8th grade, Unit 1, Lesson 13. Looks like it's page 111. So it says not just the vertices. So it says trapezoids A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Group 1, 2, 3, 4 erase points. Group 4 erase points. Thank you. And trapezoid A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime are congruent. You guys should know what that means by now. Then it says draw and label the points on A, B, C, D prime that correspond to E and F. Well, here's E right here. And that would be pretty easy to do. So you could just come right over here and put E prime. That's what they want you to do there. Very simple. And then 3.2 at the bottom of page 111, it says, are any of the ovals congruent to one another? Explain how you know. Well, you turn the page here, and they're talking about the ovals on page 112. I think most of you could just look at these and probably decide that they may be congruent or probably are congruent. Hang on one second. If not, pull out your protractor and you can do an approximate measurement to decide if any are congruent. To help you in your description of this, if any of them are congruent, let's label these. I'll call this A, and this is B. We'll call this one C and D. So in your description, if it's down here or below at the bottom of page 111, reference the ovals A, B, C, D. Mr. St. Germain, you had a question? You had your hand up? Okay. Are you ready for more? They're talking about me handing out toothpicks. Not going to happen because the 8th grade boys will just poke out their eyes. So you can scratch both those out. You read my mind. Yeah. Page 113. Page 113, corresponding points in congruent figures. Here's two congruent shapes with the same corresponding points labeled. All right. And you turn the page and it says, draw the points corresponding to B, D, E, and label them B prime, D prime, E prime. You guys should be able to do that. Then it says draw line segments AD and AD prime and measure them. Well, let me flip back to AD and AD prime. You'll have to figure out where those would go. It does say to measure them. So let me go back to this one. And this is what they're talking about here. AD, if I was to draw a line right here, and then measure them. Well, they didn't say whether to use inches or centimeters. I'll just go with centimeters. And starting at 0, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 4.5, or maybe it is 4.5, or you could say 4.5 centimeters. So that one's done for you. I think you guys can, this is a really simple lesson. You can do the rest. Bottom of page 114, it says, here's two faces, Max and Frankie. Are those faces congruent? Explain your reasoning. Okay. So there might be 2 or 3 different things that would tell you that they're not congruent, and they're not. What 1 or 2 items you pick is up to you. All right. Next page, lesson 13 summary. Summary, they don't ask any questions, but it'll go over the lesson here in the top of page 116 also. And now we have the practice problems. And I'm on page 117. It says, which of the 4 figures are congruent to the top figure? Some of you might be able to just recognize it without really doing any measurements. Others, you may want to use your protractor. And it doesn't have to be just your protractor. I've done this before and said as much. If you wanted to, you could just draw the top figure and see if you can rotate it in such a way where it tells you that it's congruent with the other figures. And let's see here. Number 2, these two figures are congruent. So they're telling you they are, with corresponding points marked. And A here says, let me zoom in a little bit. A says, are angles ABC and ABC prime congruent? Well, they tell us the figures are congruent. And then they ask if these angles are congruent. Yeah, I mean, some of the questions they ask in this. So it's kind of lame. Yes, they are congruent because you told me so, and draw an arrow and point to that. I mean, it's kind of silly. All right, here's two figures. Show using measurement that these two figures are not congruent. So you are going to have to pull out your protractor and do some measurements, and then explain why they are not congruent. Okay, hang on, getting the protractors. Just park it. Sit. Thank you. All right. Each picture shows two polygons, one labeled A, one labeled B. Describe how to move polygon A into the position of polygon B using a transformation. You should be able to do that. If you need tracing paper, you could use that to help you with your description. And then on page 119, same thing. A little blurry there. Let's fix that. Again, you're going to use a description to transform A to B. And that's it. All right. Now, let me write down the pages. So this is Unit 1, one lesson, 13, pages, something to 119. What's the first page? 111. 111 to 119. That's what I want you guys to do. There is also a Get More Math that I'm going to go over with you in just a moment. Let me end this video.